Save the Queen. So good afternoon, September 21st, 2017. This is CISB113, Section 7, IT Fundamentals and Practices. Today is day number 10 in week number 5, so let us get started. Welcome back to this first day's class. It's very important that you're here today because it's the final reminder from your teacher that you are supposed to turn in your first journal by the end of this weekend. Individually, not as a pair, each one of you need to get the journal done and submit your journal before 11:55 p.m. on the 24th of this month, in other words, before 11:55 p.m. this Sunday. So you need to submit your journal through this submission link here, okay? So when you click on this link on this Saturday, you can see that you can browse through your computer, select your file, and upload your file there, and it takes minutes, actually less than a minute. So you could be saved that your first submission is done. So today, it's very important that I remind each one of you what you need to do to submit your journal. It's very important, that's why I prepared something for you. Unfortunately, most of the students on the first sections took away the notes. So it turns out that I do not have all the notes for each one of you, so you need to share in your table. First of all, in order to get your journal done, suppose all the materials are ready, you need to come to this template. Okay, click on this template, and remember that this template that I showed you on Monday. You need to follow this template to write your journal. It contains 3 specific pages. On the first page, it's the fun page. So you need to fill in your student ID, your full name, and then your journal topic here in 12-point form. It should be good enough. So in your journal, it's such as the example journals that I put on the table. The topic is what is ethics in the information age. Then you put in what is ethics in the information age. And remember, your section 007, you need to delete the section 006. Okay? So then the first page is done. Are you ready? If you're ready, so I will tell you more. Hello? Yes. I hope that you are paying attention. It's the final reminder. Alright? So this is page 1. This is for the cover page. So if we move on to the second page, you need to provide a topic of the journal again on top of the page. For example, what is ethics in the information age. Okay? And after that, you have to produce an essential question. If your topic by itself is an essential question, you do not need to repeat it. If it is not, you need to repeat it. Okay? So, and then, how many resource items have you identified? Okay? Then you need to put the number of resource items underneath your topic sentence. Alright? It's okay? I'm sure you understand what I say. I'm sure you understand what I say. Yes. Help yourself. Is that alright? Alright? Pay attention. Okay? Yes, and after that, what you need to produce is the observations. The observations from the several sources you have identified for your journal topic. Alright? So, you can produce as many observations as you want, but remember, you need to keep in mind that you just have 2 pages to fill up your journal. So normally, from 5 to 10 observations will be more than enough. Okay? 5 to 10 observations will be more than enough. And then the question is, how long is each observations being written? How long should each observations be written? Well, it very much depends on you. Sometimes it is a keyword, sometimes it's a phrase, sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes simply it's a reference. Okay? So you have to exercise your descriptions to make sure your observations is presented concisely. And remember, after you have put down your observations, you need to follow your observations with an in-text citations. And that's why you need to make use of the APA style to produce your in-text citations. This is very important. If you look at the example journal that I put on your table, one thing the student has not done enough, and actually not at all, is when you look at the observations, to just cite the source at the end without the in-text citation. That is not good. But there is a trick. There is a trick. Okay? There's a trick. What trick is this? Let me produce the online versions of this journal for you. For those of you who have been following me closely, you understand that I post something here this morning. And this is exactly the journal you're looking at in your paper copy. The difference between the paper copy and this online copy is the student did something very, very smartly, although it is not visible in the paper document. Individual link of the concept is brought to you by the online versions. That's why it's very important you have the experience to write your journals online. Each one of these keywords could bring you to a specific page, informations. All right? And on that page of informations, you can see the world. That is the power of the online versions. Okay? So, with that, you understand what I mean. Okay, I am somewhere here, right here. Yes. You can see that this is the online versions produced by the students. When the student copied this online journal to the Microsoft Word document and produce it and submit it, and when I print the copy here, you do not see this link. Okay? You do not see those links. Do you see those links in blue? Each of such links could bring you to a source directly. Okay? So that is the power of writing a journals online. You can always attach those links with individual keywords. Okay? So when you look at the paper copy there, you do not see any in-text citations. Oh, sure, the student did not include proper in-text citations. But when you read the online versions, you can see all those important links. Okay? So, an important thing that you need to follow when you write your own journal, it's, I suggest, a very important suggestion, no matter what, when you produce an important observations here, you also need to include the in-text citations in APA format. In APA format. Now, many of you ask me questions that you still do not quite understand what is meant by the APA format. It's just one way to credit your source. It's just one way to fully list the references at the end of the journal. And in the context of the journal, the first part includes your observations as many pieces as your page limits allowed you to produce from your source. Basically, one source is very essential. If you want to work more than one source, from 1 to 3, I would say do not go beyond 3, because you do not have that much time to deal with so many sources in a simple journal. Save your effort. 3 references will be good enough. Okay? So, after you have taken the notes from your sources for your topic chosen, you have to start asking questions on the individual observations you put down here. Perhaps while you're reading the source, you discover something very interesting, which you want to keep track of it by using questions. It will be time for you to put that questions down here and link this particular interpretations with the specific observations there. Okay? So you can see that it's very important. Alright? So this is the sections for your notes taking from the source. This is the sections for your questions related to the individual notes you took from your source. And finally, the applications are lessons learned. This means what? It's your answers perceived in response to those questions here. Now, you do not need to answer all the questions. Normally, it's just 1 or 2 or 3 very relevant questions, which is very much related to the story you want to tell in this particular topic. So, from observations to notes, which you spend most of the time extracting, to the questions you need to produce with those notes, to the answer you need to come up with to answer some of those questions, become the essence of your journal writing. And of course, you must structure your sources in the context of references under the reference sections and produce the in-text citations alongside the observations. Okay? Thank you. So, if you discover any useful web links, it is also highly recommended that you list them here and produce a simple annotation for them. Alright? So, having said that, it will be time for you to take a good look at the example journal I produced this morning for you. The online versions is put in week number 6, Topic Online Discussions Forum. The hard copy versions is on your table. Now, may I invite each table, because I do not have enough copy for each one of you now that the previous section took away many, study the example journal in your table, with your learning partner and with your table partner, and ask yourself the questions. If you are the teacher, you're going to give a grade to this particular journal, how are you going to grade it? Okay? Study it for 5 minutes and learn from the journals given there what are the strengths of this journal. Have they done a good job in observations? Have they done a good job in interpretations? Asking enough questions? Have they also done a good job in applications? Answering some of the essential questions there. It's time for the talk to learn from one another. At least I give you 5 to 10 minutes time to look into this. If you do not have a hard copy, but you have a notebook computer, come up online here on the Moodle environment. It is on week number 6, Topic Online Discussion Forum. Okay, come up with your interpretations now. And if you're the teacher, how are you going to grade this journal? These will give you a very good perspective of writing your own journal. Okay? In writing your own journal. Alright? So we do not have many hard copies. You can share. Okay? You can share. This is a table with many computers, so you can actually go online and you can save this copy. You can go to the Moodle environment, week number 6. Yes, Moodle environment number 6. Okay? So you can write a journal in one of the format. Separate. Okay? Alright? Yes. Alright, thank you. Okay, I think you have something. Alright. Now study the journal. Suppose this is the journal you need to produce for this weekend. And suppose this is the topic you chose. What do you think of the quality of this journal? Have they done a good job in doing observations? Have they done a good job in interpretations? Have they done a good job in applications? Okay? I'll give you time to talk. And if you need help, you just raise your hand. I'll be at the table. You need to put together the strength of your table. Yes, I'm coming.
相对